on Facebook, look for Radio Christian Voice, and then on YouTube, look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV, and then we'll get interact right on the station. All right, I do have a lady that is going to give us the human face of Backpage today. She's with us for about 5 to 10 minutes. And this is Cecile. She's no stranger to this particular program. Welcome to the program, Cecile.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Okay, awesome. And adjacent to Cecile, there's Mfundisi, who is about to get down to business. And so, in as much as today's motivation is concerned, and then Cecile will explain why she's on Backpage this particular morning. Mfundisi, over to you. What is God impressing upon your heart today?
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. Apologies, obviously, last weekend I was away on Super Sport duty on the Copper Belt. We were attending what we are calling the Zambian football wedding. And for the very first time, I was wearing a bow tie and things like that. So we'll be able to get into that a little later. But let's start with the motivation, shall we? Tikamba Pandalama. The Bible says from the book of Hebrews chapter number 13 and verse number 5, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. That's the Bible from the book of Hebrews chapter number 13 and verse number 5. So the Bible is saying, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said he will never leave you and he will never forsake you. There are two nevers there. He will never leave you, and he says he will never forsake you. Kambili, it's when tikankalana mavuto yakaduda. Vuto ya ndalama, ili ashiri ya ndalama, uruboni, ngata tukwete ndalama. That's when we begin to think Mashereni. Ruboni. Mali. Ndalama. Mbongwe. Some people say makalas, dollars.
Or mahafu.
Mahafu. So it is when you do not have mahafu that when you begin to think of solutions, probably that are untoward. And the Bible is saying, keep your lives free from the love of money. Kadu dandalama pakeka is not a problem. Money in itself is not a problem. In fact, elsewhere, the Bible in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter number 10 and verse number 19 says that money answers all things. Ngatunandalama ungaende kulikonse. Ungakule bed ya bwino, but you cannot, buy sleep. Ungaende ku the best hospital, but you can't buy health. That is why we must keep ourselves free from the love of money, but obviously money answers all things. And so today our portion of scripture is saying, steer clear from the love of money and be content with what you have. Nga mwabulirwa ngati mulibe muli mapenzi ya ndalama, God will come through for you. That is the assurance. If you leave everything in the hands of God, maybe it's a business, it's a cake business, it's a business of any sort. If you are in trouble, money is not coming. If you trust God, Jehovah, then you'll be able to get that particular money. The love of money, greed, is the root cause of all evil, says 1 Timothy chapter number 6 and verse number 10. You know of people that have gotten into trouble for corruption. You know of people that have gotten into trouble for stealing people's money. You know people that have involved themselves in other vices in order to solve money problems. But when you look for those solutions that are not godly, there's always trouble that is coming. But if you depend on God, this is why the Bible in the scripture today is saying, I will never leave you, never. And it also says, I will never forsake you. God is not man who can lie. God is not like a son of man who changes his mind. You can check that in Numbers chapter number 23 and verse number 19. This morning, if somebody is in trouble, this message, the motivation is for you. Depend on God, Jehovah. He has promised that he'll never leave you nor forsake you.
Wow, beautiful. Timely motivation there when people are on the hunt for money. All right, thank you, Mfundisi. And now we have this beautiful lady, Mfundisi, here in the studio. She's called Cecile.
Wow.
She's a caketreneur.
Wow.
All right, caketreneur as in she bakes.
Caketreneur. I'm hearing that particular word for the very first time. But from her looks, well, we are created to appreciate the beautiful things.
Absolutely.
And cakes are among the beautiful things of this life.
Absolutely.
And from our looks, I would want to think even the cakes are as beautiful.
Absolutely, without a shade of doubt. Now, it's Women's Day on Monday, and this is how now she gives us this human face for the next 5 to 10 minutes on Backpage today. Now, as it's in as much as it's International Women's Day on Monday, there's one aspect that people need to realize, that you can appreciate a woman in different ways.
Exactly.
One of which could be through some of the products that she has on offer here, and I reckon, Cecile.
And wait a moment, Lorenzo.
Uh-huh.
Women's Day means appreciating the women.
Absolutely.
And it's good that you've given Cecile this particular platform today. But what you are saying, as I'm hearing you from probably my bishopric seat, is that there are special women out there
Absolutely.
that we need to appreciate.
Exactly.
They are mothers.
Yes.
There are wives.
Yes.
There are our girlfriends, not me, girlfriends. You who is listening, absolutely. You need to take something special,
To
like
your
a
mother.
cake, your mom.
Yes.
Mweba fiashna totela. We are here because of a woman, all of us. So there comes a time, like Women's Day, where you need to appreciate. For example,
Thank you, ma'am.
I will need to appreciate Banalu. I'm not telling her whether I'm going to take her a cake from Cecil, but I will have to appreciate her. So yes,
Absolutely.
a cake is something that can lighten up somebody's day on Women's Day. But just saying, Mweba fiashna totela. It could be not your mother, but a woman in the community who has done something worth appreciating. It could be a woman that you know that let me just take a cake as a surprise. Kafika.
Absolutely. So, what products do you have on offer, Cecile, that people can use to appreciate women, as Mfundisi has outlined, really?
Okay, so on Women's Day, we thought of making it very special for everybody, so that I know everybody can afford at least a small gift for their mother. So for their sister, a cousin, all females are supposed to be appreciated. So our mini cakes on Monday, from Monday, starting today, you can order a mini cake going at 200 kwacha.
Brilliant.
Yes,
That's a special offer.
Special offer for Women's Day. You need to thank a woman. You say thank you, or I'm thinking of you. So you have a chance to test our delicious cakes, or order something for a sister as low as 200 kwacha. Yes.
Beautiful.
Apart from that, we also have what we call cake sickles. Yeah, cake sickles.
I got to hear about them from her, by the way, Mfundisi. I didn't know that they're cake sickles.
I think I need to order that. Yesterday I was with my daughter somewhere, and then she says strawberry and vanilla shake. Then I shouted to the waiter, a strawberry and vanilla, shake. Then she said, "No, Daddy, just strawberry."
Just strawberry.
Then they said sprinkle. I said, "Okay, strawberry sprinkle." "No, Daddy, just strawberry."
That's it.
Cake sickles. Please go ahead and tell us a little more about cake sickles.
Yeah, so cake sickles, these are made from cake. They're made from cake and dipped into chocolate. So they come in different flavors. You can have them in vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, strawberry. So just different flavors. So apart from these, we also have cupcakes.
Okay.
Our cupcakes are one of the yummy and moistest cupcakes you can ever test.
Wow, talk of moist.
Not those dry cakes that you buy out there.
Okay, cake at least cupcake.
Yeah.
So we make the most delicious cupcakes out there. So you can order our cupcakes. They range from 150 going up, depending on the toppings that you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think these are the things that will be on, and they're very ideal for gifting. They come in very nice packaging. You will be smiling immediately you see the packaging. You will love to see that.
Wow. Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So where you found, and how do you go about deliveries and so on and so forth, and what flavors do you have for people?
Okay, so we have about 7 flavors. We have vanilla, we have chocolate, we have strawberry, hazelnut, Nutella, lemon, and citrus. Then our standard cakes start from 450. I forgot to spoke about that. We have delicious standard cakes. They start from 450. Then we have character cakes. They start from 550.
550.
Yeah.
You also do wedding cakes, by the way. Shiwinga listening to Backpage. You can actually do the wedding cakes, right?
Yes, we can do. We do nice wedding cakes, affordable prices.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I guess this is about the time when they need to get your number.
Exactly.
The magic number.
So you can call us on 0966 52
52
35
35
58.
58. All right. Please say it again.
0966 52
52
35
35
58.
58.
You can call us on that number. We're
All right.
based in Chalala, but we do deliveries around.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. There are people watching us via Facebook Live. I know they're probably looking for you already. Do you have a Facebook page where they can get hold of you?
Oh, yes. So our Facebook page is called Sparkles.
Sparkles.
Yeah, Sparkles. You see a delicious cake somewhere in blue and green. That's what our Facebook page is called. Or you can send me a friend request, Cecile Chibi. Yeah, you can contact me using the same number that we've just said. Yeah.
And then it's all sweetened for International Women's Day.
It's all sweetened for International Women's Day. We can also make sugar-free, actually.
Oh, wow.
Sugar-free cakes.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay,
so
great.
Awesome.
we're in for everybody.
Awesome. Okay. All right, Cecile, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you.
You've sweetened Backpage. This is the human side of Backpage.
Thank you so much. I love it here.
We're glad that you love it. Okay. All right. So we're getting on. So Cecile is going to be excused as now we just kind of like put a frown on our faces. She really put a smile on our faces, but now it's all guys in the studio, and then it's back to straight faces.
Exactly. The normal.
All right. Thank you, Cecile. Okay. So there we go. So you're tuned into Backpage. In this very first hour, we have exciting points of discussion that we're going to look at. We'll look back at the FAR's AGM. Then we'll talk about the Barclays Cup draws. We have the provisional squad named by Milutin Sredejovic.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Sredejovic.
Well done, yes. Milutin
Sredejovic. He didn't name his provisional 33-man squad. These are hot talking points that we anticipate that you participate. But then in the second hour, we have blockbuster games. Manchester City versus Manchester United, the Manchurian Derby, or Manchurian Derby as other people would say, and then also the Derby El Madrileño between Real Madrid and Atletico de Madrid. All right, and we're going to have a fan versus fan, a double dose of fan versus fan right on this particular program. But Mfundisi, let's get started with the annual general meeting. Andrew Kamanga bounces back for another 4-year tenure as head of the Football Association of Zambia. All right. The elections are passed behind us now. Focus is back on developing Zambian football. But let's look back on the past elective annual general meeting, really. Could it be the first signal for us to chart the way forward insofar as developing the Zambian game forward?
Yes, certainly. I think that there's need now for unity. There's need for a common purpose for every Zambian. Because I think that Zambian football has suffered, violence and squabbles and wranglings, which have not helped, particularly the senior Zambian national soccer team. We have had instances where insinuations have been made that certain players have been left out because of belonging to different camps. But we should not have different camps because in football there are no opposition parties. There's
just one party. It's a one-party state.
Yes, it's a one-party state, and people compete in there. There are no opposition parties.
Absolutely,
there could be differences in opinion, and in a democracy, in a democratic society such as what the Football Association of Zambia is, you would find that when there are elections, there's a lot of divisions. Now, throughout the entire process, prior to the elections, which were held at the Fairmont Hotel in Livingston, FIFA had guided the Football Association of Zambia. And there was a lot of correspondence. Maybe we can go back to the 1st of February 2020.
Okay, let me make you pause a bit before you go back there, Mfundisi. I just reckon that we have Andrew and Chair joining us via Zoom. All right, gentlemen, welcome on board. Sorry, we got carried away by the sweet treats.
The sparkles.
All right, Chair and Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing today? Andrew, are you able to hear me?
Morning to you.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Ronaldo. Okay. Oh, Chair, how are you? And welcome on board as well.
Yeah, I can also hear you. Good morning.
Yes, we can hear both of you. Thanks.
Oh, excellent.
Great,
I was just saying that good morning to you and good morning to the dear listeners, and thank you for welcoming us, Lorenzo. Yes, we could hear you were carried away with talking about sweet things.
Cakesicles.
Of course, life is good with a little bit of some sweet things, Lorenzo.
Okay, all right. So I did make Mfundisi pause. Let me have him continue what he was talking about. Then I'll be getting your comments also on the past elective annual general meeting that took place over the weekend before we move on to the next talking point for today's Backpage. Mfundisi,
So on the
you took us to the 1st of February. Yeah.
2020, the football family gathered at the Golden Peacock Hotel, where they passed firstly the electoral code. That's number one. The number two, they also ratified members of the electoral committee, which included people from the elections, commissions of Zambia, ECZ, and professional bodies. I think law association and arbitration as well. They were involved in the committees of appeal. Now, once that was done, it meant that it set the stage for the elections, which were held at the Fairmount Hotel, like we said,
In Livingston.
in Livingston last month. So what happened between the 1st of February and the elections was, firstly, COVID-19 happened. Then secondly, there were aggrieved parties that were contesting the exclusion or barring of certain candidates based on the integrity test which had been put now as part of the electoral process. Now, going forward, those wrangles culminated into the Minister of Sport, Honorable Emmanuel Mulenga, calling everybody together to the table, including FIFA, so that the way forward could be found. There were court cases and so on which had come, and everybody came to an understanding that FIFA would make the final ruling over the matters. And I must say, give credit to Honorable Emmanuel Mulenga, the Minister of Sport, because at some point certain fans felt, no, he is in support of this group, no, he's in support of that group, but he has been very firm and neutral. What he has wanted to see is Zambian football development, and he has helped the Football Association of Zambia as a sports minister he needs to do. He has also given an ear to the people who were aggrieved, and this is the way the minister ought to be. The minister must be neutral. He doesn't need to side with FAS. He doesn't need to side with those that are complaining. Of course, FAS is an elected, body, and so probably they might have a bit of preference, especially when it comes to FIFA. FIFA will only communicate with its affiliates, because even me, I can stand today and say, oh, I'm not happy with FAS for this and that, then I go to court. Then what happens? Then there'll be anarchy in the game.
True.
So finally, FIFA, wrote, I think around November, to Football Association, guiding that the elections could go ahead. That they had heard everybody, but they feel that FAS had followed every procedure in coming up with the electoral rules and everything. Because remember, from 1st February, FAS was sending every communication, whatever they were doing, they would send back to FIFA, including the new constitution, which has allowed for provincial chairpersons. They were sending everything. Before they can announce to the public, they will send. And FIFA would say, okay, yes, this is the way we want it to be, and so on. And then FAS would announce. So in November, FIFA wrote and said, you can go ahead with the elections. But then you remember that there were members of the Electoral Commission of Zambia that were withdrawn, who had been ratified in February, on the 1st of February, in that particular meeting. So these people were away doing various Electoral Commission of Zambia activities, registration, and also by-election. So FAS wrote back and said, in November, we cannot go ahead and have these elections because members who were ratified by the February AGM are not with us. So they wrote back. So FIFA did not respond immediately. When FIFA responded, which was now in February, FAS then decided to inform everyone to say that we have been given a go-ahead, because now at this particular time, the Electoral Commission of Zambia officers were ready to help with the elections, because this has been very transparent. So they wrote back and said, okay, now we are ready. And FIFA said, okay, you can go ahead. And that's when the meeting was called. And it was explained that this meeting is just a continuation. You remember, initially, there were those provincial elections, very quickly, Lorenzo, provincial elections, which had been halted by court action as well as COVID-19. But you remember that certain chairpersons who are member of the executive committee were elected. For example, our own Mansaka Pianga, who listens to this particular show, if he's not in Morocco, I'm sure he's listening. He is now the chairperson of Northern Province. His election happened a lot more earlier. There was Chris Kamuna for Eastern Province. His election also happened before these, COVID-19 issues as well as court disruptions. So what it meant was that this AGM was a mere continuation. It didn't need the 60 days that some people were talking about because the process had already been started. It was just halted.
With those provincial elections.
Absolutely. The agenda had already been circulated. So FAS only needed to inform the stakeholders, including the aggrieved parties, that FIFA has told us they have considered your issues, because FIFA does not communicate to non-football members. It can only communicate to the Football Association of Zambia. And when people asked for a letter, that letter was provided to say, this is the communication that we received. And I think there were arguments like, okay, President Andrew Kamanga went to Sunday interview and he did not say that the letter had come and so on and so forth. But at that particular stage, he was not in a position to disclose because he was still discussing with FIFA on how the modalities of carrying out the elections were going to be done. At that particular time, FAS had written back saying we cannot proceed with the elections because ratified members from the Electoral Commission are not present and are doing something else. Now, I think this is water under the bridge now. There was no need for 60 days notification, because this was a mere continuation of what had already been started. And then FIFA had already made a ruling that you go ahead, meaning that they had considered what the aggrieved parties were looking for. But remember, at each and every stage, FIFA was kept informed. And this is how the election was held in Livingstone. Against that backdrop, I think there was a letter from the National Sports Council of Zambia, which had given a few things in terms of what it wanted to see before the elections could be held. But the councillors who were in Livingstone say that the Minister of Sport called the president of the Football Association of Zambia, Andrew Kamanga, and said the election can go ahead. And that is how the election went ahead. FAS has not defied National Sports Council of Zambia. It had the blessings of the minister to go ahead and have that particular election. Now, having said that, as a football family, personally, I'm very tired. Of late, you have seen, not even on my Facebook page, I don't talk about these things. I hope it's the last time I'm going to be talking about this. We as a nation need to concentrate on what is important, which is preparing the team, which is giving the team support for it to be able to do very well. And when I say the team, I mean the senior Chipolo Polo, because that's the holy grail of Zambian football. The other facets of Zambian football under Andrew Kamanga have done incredibly well. The women are at the Olympics for the first time. The under-17s, as we speak, they begin Africa Cup under-17, glory pursuit in Morocco. They are there already. Football clubs here are receiving much more money. Previously, the lowest club was getting 7,000 kwacha. Under Andrew Kamanga administration, they're getting 200,000 kwacha as the least. ABSA, we'll be talking about the draws a lot more earlier, have continued to provide, the ABSA Cup, richest cup competition, 3.8 million. Toyota Zambia have just given FAS new partnership, 100,000 new Toyota Prado, which now the national team coach Mitro Sredovic is using. So you can clearly see that from the corporate world, they can see that things are being done the right way at Football House. There's transparency, there's accountability, and this is what we want to see going forward. But what now we need to see is unity. I believe that even the aggrieved parties, they have something to contribute to the game. So Andrew Kamanga and the new executive, you need to be embracing divergent views. Find a way in which these people can be co-opted as well. If there are leadership roles that can be given to them, let us be magnanimous and ensure that we move forward as a football family. I like what Pivos Mwanza, who was committee member under the Karusha Board executive, said inside this week. He said, I know all these people who have been elected. If anything, he said that I even know Andrew Kamanga from his days, that story was in the Zambia Daily Mail, from his days at Kalonga High School when he was in grade 10, he organized the protest because Banzovala Makabudura were grade 8, 9, na 10. He organized the protest so that we could start wearing my trousers, and that came to pass. What Pivos Mwanza was saying was that Andrew Kamanga is a firm leader who does what he believes in. And Pivo was saying the electioneering is now over, because even him was bad, Pivos Mwanza. And he said, now let us support the team that is there, because even them, when we were in the executive, they did give us support. There can only be one president at a time, whether at Football House, whether in Zambia. Like I said earlier on, there are no opposition parties in football. And now all the football stakeholders want to move forward. Soccer fans want to move forward. We are tired of the squabbling. We would rather... Today, sports administrators make more headlines than us going to the Africa Cup of Nations. Already on the 25th, we have a match, which is pitting the African champions against the Africa Cup flops.
All right, Andrew, let me have you come in. Your comments from the annual general meeting that took place in Livingston. What did you pick out quite prominently before Chair also comes in as we put that talking point to bed?
First of all, Lorenzo, allow me to concur with what Ramuzo has said. Very, very well explained, clearly put, very good background up to where we are today. And that should be the spirit that we should have right now, is that of moving forward. We cannot be going back and forth in trying to run football. We won't succeed at all. The most important thing is that politicking is over now. There's an executive in place. And what we need to do, all of us, is to rally behind the current executive, whether or not that's the team which is in place now. Those are the ones that are leading football today. So we need to rally behind them. For now, it's not going to take us anywhere. I'm glad to hear. For me, I felt that the statement coming from the Sports Council, which said that they will nullify on behalf of Sports Ministry, they will nullify the results of the elections in Livingston. It sounded more or less like that had a blessing from the minister. But with the clarification coming from Bamuzo, I'm quite happy to hear that. And prominently that came out of Livingston, Lorenzo, is President Andrew Kamanga's statement to say, let us unite. Let us now look at how we can improve football together. He also extended an olive branch to all of us who have been, not happy with, him being at Football House, that let us unite. Let us all work together. We can actually succeed in Zambia if we work together, because each and every one of us has got something different to offer to the development of the game in Zambia. Okay. All of us, those of us who are talking today, we are talking because we want to see the game of football going forward. So, in our talk, on the pitch, in the boardrooms, in the dressing rooms, whoever is in the back room, the technical bench, all of us together can actually work for the good of our game, and we can actually conquer if we work together.
Okay. All right. Let me get on to Chair now. Chair, your thoughts on the same. I remember we needed to get your comment from the Lusaka's elective conference, but I know that's what's under the bridge now. So we'd want to get your comments from the Livingston one at Fairmount Hotel. Are we turning a page to forge ahead in developing Zambian football with what happened in Livingston?
Absolutely. I want to think that it's so water under the bridge. Yes, I did attend the Lusaka elections, and I did help in terms of counting the votes. But again, that's water under the bridge. You talk of the Fairmount elections, in which case, it did elect.
Chair.
Hello?
How democratic were the Lusaka elections that you attended? Just give us a feel of how it was. Was it democratic?
Well, they were very, very democratic, no doubt about it. Kudos to the gentlemen, to the people that did organize the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and the people that were in charge. They did a fantastic job. I was there at Golfview. Was it Golfview? What was the place? The hotel. The hotel where we were. Fantastic atmosphere. Everything was good. Now, getting into the Fairmount elections, I think again we commend the people for organizing a peaceful kind of election. The atmosphere was fantastic. That's it. we have, a president, and I was one of those that were able to congratulate President Andrew Kamanga, on my behalf, and indeed on behalf of the Chipolopolo Soccer Fans Association, of which I head. Now, elections are gone. That's a fact. What is now with us is work that must be done. We all know that we are craving to be able to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations. First and foremost, Cameroon 2021. Although, the going is a little bit hard, but we still have 2 more games against Algeria, who come calling at home. Then we have to travel into Harare to be able to play with Zimbabwe. Those are games that we must be able to win, because when you look at us, we are sitting at the basement of the log, and it's important that now that the squabbles, now that everything is gone, now that we've ushered in an executive, a new executive, so to say, in inverted commas, we need to work. The executive needs to work. Let's forget about the squabbles. Let's look at the acceptance speech by President Andrew Kamanga. What did he say? He says he would want to incorporate everybody. That's fantastic. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way that we should be able to move forward. Because for how long are we going to fight? For how long are we going to have aggrieved parties? For how long are we going to be? To be trying to get at each other's neck? So what's important is for work. Work must be done. Zambians love football. Zambians enjoy football. They would want to see the players. In fact, the people who should be making headlines are the players, and not the excoms, and not the officials. It's the players. The Cavasos of this world, the Patson Dakas of this world, the Mopus of this world. Those are the guys that should be able to make, the headlines. Now, you all know that if there are problems in the boardroom, it will eventually affect the players on the pitch. Hence, maybe the lack of qualification in the last 2 editions, and maybe as we go by extension, even into the third one, that we won't be able to go, because the omens do not look good. So that's it. Andrew Kamanga now is in office. He spent the last 4 years. He's now getting a second term. So it's important for him to be able to work in terms of producing results, work in terms of delivering, work in terms of getting the Zambia national team to be able to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, and for the first time, the World Cup. We need to be at Qatar 2022. That would be great. So the 10 provincial chairmen that have been elected, congratulations to you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and to the 3 that were elected, the Clement Monteo, President Andrew Kamanga, Vice President Justin Mumba, and the Colonel Priscilla. Yes, I think it's great that people have confidence in you. The councillors have spoken, and the speaking was magnanimous. You now into the hierarchy of fans, so you need to sit down and be able to work. Zambian soccer fans would want to see greatness, would want to see the kind of football that we used to play in the past, the qualification. The beatings of the other teams, when they came to Independence Stadium as well as Zero Stadium. That's what we are looking for. Even me speaking as a fan of the game, what I want to see is success on the pitch. Once again, congratulations to the executive that has been ushered into office. But work begins now.
All right, Fundisi, let's move on to our next talking point. The 33-man provisional squad has been named by Milutin Sredejovic. And the inclusion of Nathan Sinkala and Kawazo Chongo seems to have driven a furore through Zambian soccer fans. I would want to get your comments of that.
Well, firstly, I think that Micho did mention that the national team, though, will be very open to any player that is performing for their clubs. And Nathan Sinkala.
Triple C is back.
And Triple C is back as well. Cletus Chotachama. It's a very... Well, let me use this word, Lorenzo. It's a damn good squad.
It's a damn good squad. You're damn right.
Yes, and I'm pleased to see Mwenyachibwe Serial, being recalled for the first time under Micho, because obviously this goalkeeper. When he was coming, we were here on Backpage. You remember, Lorenzo, when we had communication from South Africa, that South Africa wanted him and so on. And we from Backpage, we said, look, this goalkeeper is good for Zambia. The father he's late now. At that time, he was still alive. Pochibwe played for Nchanga Rangers. So this goalkeeper is back. Sebastian Mange, as we know, has not played after he was released, by Maritzburg United in South Africa. And as a result of that, he misses out because he's joined Power Dynamos now, Sebastian Mange, but he's yet to play. Like I said, when we were opening, I was at the Kopala Derby the Kitwe derby, and what a derby it was. We'll talk about it a little later when we come to the league. But I was asking Perry Mutapa why Sebastian Mwangi has not started, because one of the cries of the Power Dynamos fans is that young goalkeeper Jackson Kakunta hasn't really covered himself in glory, and they have been looking for change. Either Lawrence Mulenga, Umfana, they have been saying, but why isn't Perry using Lawrence Mulenga instead? And so I asked Perry over Sebastian Mwangi, and he told me, look, Mwangi has not played for quite some time. We're just trying to build his fitness. So it means that we only have 3 goalkeepers in Alan Chibwe, who did quite well at the CHAN until the game against Morocco, where he conceded one of the 3 goals, in my opinion, was not very good off the corner to concede. And again, if you look at Green Eagles, not too long ago, they were hammered by Green Buffaloes by 3-1. So, an international goalkeeper will not inspire a lot of confidence if he's going to be conceding so many goals. So there are 3 goalkeepers in there. Mwenya, Katleko, Sirio, Chibwe has been called Alan Chibwe as well. No relationship. And Lamek Siami. I'm a bit surprised. I was with Levi Chabi when they beat Warriors in midweek. I met him, in Kapiri, Levi Chabi. I'm surprised that Lamek Siami is not probably holding down that number 1 spot at Cabo Warriors. But those are the 3 goalkeepers. The return of Kabaso Chongo shows that Micho has got a big heart, because a lot of things were said, isn't it? After Kabaso was left out for what was called technical reasons. And maybe we can just a little bit very quickly delve into it. At the time that Zambia played Kenya in Kenya as a prelude to the matches against Botswana back-to-back, Kabaso Chongo was seen in 1 match. Before they were released from Tupiso Mazembe together with Tandi Mwape, Mazembe had said that if it were possible, could you give us these 2 players after they play at least 1 friendly, so that they come back to prepare for their big derby against Vita. So Micho, having seen Kabaso and the fact that he was a part of a defense that had leaked a few goals, he said, go and play the big derby, so that, because I'm not going to play you in South Africa, I want to look at somebody else in terms of the central defensive partnership. But what came out really was very wrong. Probably from all parties. There was a statement from the Football Association of Zambia, like, we wish the player the best, which was not Micho's statement anyway. So that statement was wrong. But also the other things that came out equally were not very right in the newspapers and so on. But the player himself insisted that he never said those things. But having said that, it shows that Micho listens. You remember before the CHAN, fans cried, and there was that game, Ostars versus the rest. And they said, we need this one and that one included. Micho again decided to include. I can tell you something about coaches that we know. Some coaches are very stubborn. You cry for players, they will not listen. But Micho has listened for the sake of the nation. So Kabaso is back. Tandi, I know, is suspended for the game against Zimbabwe because he picked up 2 yellow cards against Algeria. But he'll be back against Zimbabwe. Then the midfield, in my opinion, this is the best that you can ever have. Nathan Sinkala still has got it. He's been putting in good shifts for Stellenbosch. So you already have a number 6. Computer Mwepu, Patson Daka. Those are 2 names that name themselves on that 11. Musasa Kilavena Ngobali 9. But Patson, now Mwepu, Bajareve, Balipo Kudala, barring injuries or the club against that team saying no, Kulima COVID. Again, he has named 33. Why? Because he has 3 players for each position. Just in case Kwankala injury, because Kulima games are many abwera. For example, continental football, Wankana, Wanapsa, they are involved in those games and league matches everywhere around the continent. There are so many matches, including in Europe. There's Europa, there's Champions League, there are league matches. So a player can get injured. But I'm also very happy with the return of Brian Mwila again. This is extremely good because the coach has seen that Mwila has done very well. I was in commentary for Supersport at the weekend when Butcon beat Young Green Eagles by 2-1. Mwila scored a brilliant goal, and there are 6 goals in 7 matches, including an own goal. So 7 in 7. Ukapendela kuna own goal. Again, it shows that the coach is looking at players who you think can help the team. Imano Mayuka, probably people are crying about Mayuka. Mayuka, in my view, you remember, I think on Backpage I did say when they had played that team against Mozambique, from Mozambique, when he scored, I said, Mayuka Namuwela. He said, what it means is that he's still building his fitness and physical condition. Even when you look at him, close, you can clearly see that he has a bit of work to do, Mayuka, into coming into physical condition, good physical condition. You can play in the league or team Tunango, but when you come to the very highest level, you need to be at the peak of your powers. Now, having said that, Mayuka still has a chance, and I think he's on a very good trajectory to get back into this particular team. So all in all, what I'm saying is that it's a damn good squad. And if the boys come with the right attitude, right application, Rally Warrior is in there, Kratos, you spoke about him earlier on, Ivan Skangwa, Clean Skangwa, it is a damn good squad.
Wow. All right. Okay. So, gentlemen, I have just about a few minutes before we hit the top of the hour. I'm running into commercials. When we come back, I'll pick it up with Andre and Chair just to give your comments on the provisional squad that Milutin Sredejovic did announce the last few days. And then we're going to move into fan versus fan. For the Manchester United versus Manchester City, Mo Kaumba, the registrar, speaks on behalf of Manchester United.
Wow. Able representation. I can't wait for that.
Man City, there's Ignatius Manchise. He's going to speak on behalf of
Bishop Moses Simpungo Mlikwisa.
How did I miss Bishop? Okay, another Man City game. Exactly. We'll have him come through. Then for the derby, El Madridinho. There's Dan that is going to speak on behalf of Real Madrid.
Really?
And then we're going to have Jacob Mao, who's going to speak on behalf of Atletico de Madrid.
Wow.
So we're really in for a double biller.
Wow.
All right, on the other side. Okay, so
Come on.
I can see where your money is.
Oh my goodness.
On the other side.
Wait.
All right, okay. So Andre and Chair, we'll be having you joined in a teeny tiny bit when we return.
Great.
Okay, all right. So we're running into commercials, and then we'll be back in a moment as we get to have the second